Welcome back to another episode of Makeup Graveyard. Today we are looking at my matte formulations of blush. We've got all kinds of colors here, and just like my previous neutral and nude toned blush videos that I just made recently, this has gone a little bit out of order. It started off quite organized, but it definitely needs some attention. We've got brands from M.A.C, Bare Minerals, Clinique, NARS, Burberry, Chanel, Lancome, Dior, Tom Ford, Guerlain. So without any further ado, I will show you which blushes I will be keeping and which blushes I'll be throwing away. This one is going to be a little more difficult, I would say, than previous videos, because I do love my blush and it doesn't, age. It doesn't have quite a short time frame as foundations and concealers. Anyway, without any further ado, I have some Clinique blushes. These are a really great formulation. I love these. These are called the Cheek Pop blushes. We've got shades Heather Pop, we've got Berry Pop, we've got Plum Pop. These are relatively new in my collection. I will be keeping those. I've got one here from M.A.C. This is a favorite actually, a Pro Longwear blush in the shade Rosy Outlook. I will be keeping that one. From NARS, this is a dual intensity blush. It is anything but matte. It belongs in a different drawer, and this is called Frenzy. I will be keeping this but putting it in a different drawer. From Burberry, we have a light glow blush in the shade Coral Pink. I love the formulation, I love the shades. I'll definitely be keeping Coral Pink. From Dior, we've got a Dior Skin Nude Tan Tie-Dye edition, and this is in the shade Coral Sunset. This is a relatively recent collection, so pretty. Something from By Terry, lovely formulation, the Terribly Donceless blush. This is in the shade Flash Fiesta. Bought this one from Mecca Maxima, love it, will be keeping. From Illamasqua, powder blusher in the shade Naked Rose, a beautiful cool toned neutral light pink. I will be keeping that one. From Guerlain, this is the Terracotta 4 Seasons 00 Nude Blush. This is a lovely quadrant of 4 neutral blushes. It is matte, but I'll probably put it in my nude and neutral drawer, keeping. From M.A.C, we have a sheer tone blush in the shade Blush Baby, keeping. From Bare Minerals, a loose face color in the shade Glee, a neutral plummy toned blush. I hardly reach for it because it is a loose powder, and I will actually be giving this one away. Another powder from Dior. This is the Dior Skin Nude Tan Paradise Duo in the shade Coral Glow. A really pretty combination of shades. I'll be keeping this one. Another loose mineral powder blush. This is from Nude by Nature, Aussie brand. This is the shade Virgin Blush. It's actually a really pretty blush, and I will be keeping that one. From Chanel, this is the Jouer Contrast in the shade Angelique. I did wear this recently, a really pretty matte peachy shade, keeping. From Lancome, a Blush Subtil Gentle and Long Lasting powder blusher in the shade Rose Sable. I will be keeping this one. From Max Factor, this is a range they released 4 shades of called the Cream Puff Blush. This is in the shade Seductive Pink. This is a pretty nice blush formulation. I'll be keeping this one. Another Clinique Cheek Pop blush. This is in the shade Peach Pop. Really great, long-lasting, beautiful, buildable blush with a really nice finish, keeping. Something from NYX. This is a powder blush in the shade Dusty Rose. Time to move that plum-toned matte blush along. This is the Ambient Lighting powder in Radiant Magenta from Hourglass. I'll be keeping that one. Another Ambient Lighting blush from Hourglass. This one is in the shade Luminous Flush. Really pretty nice pink. I'll be keeping that. From Tom Ford, this is a contouring cheek color duo in the shade Stroked. We have 2 shades in here. We have a highlight and also a blush. I'm a huge fan actually of this blush duo. I'm keeping that one for sure. Another Jouer Contrast from Chanel. This one is in the shade Innocence, a slightly more cool toned light pink, keeping. From M.A.C, one of my favorite blushes of all time, sheer tone blush in the shade Peaches. Really pretty everyday peachy blush, keeping. A NARS blush. This is in the shade Love. You can see just an everyday sort of rosy pink, keeping. From Chanel, Jouer Contrast in the shade Frivole. That is a lovely everyday peach, keeping. A Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-hour blush. This is in the shade Dollface, a cool toned pink. I'll be keeping that. Something from Guerlain. This is a Madame Rougette blush, 4 colors. This came out, I think, last year or the year before. A beautiful combination of shades. I'll be keeping that. That's definitely a nice item for the collection. From Illamasqua, powder blusher in the shade Hussy, a more vibrant pink there, keeping. From Chanel, Jouer Contrast in the shade Rose Initial, a lighter Everyday Pink, keeping. From M.A.C, this is a sheer tone blush in the shade Pincher Peach. We've got a more vibrant, brighter pink there, keeping. Another light glow blush from Burberry. This one is in the shade Cameo Blush, more of a neutral plummy type shade, keeping. Illamasqua powder blusher in the shade Beg, keeping. Beautiful long-lasting blush formulation, very pigmented, from the Balm. This is the In Stain blush in the shade Pinstripe. Great formulation. I have got a swatch video showing all of the shades of the In Stain blushes from the Balm. I'll link that down below. Keeping. From NARS, this is the Mata Hari powder blush, a really vivid cool toned purple shade, keeping. Another plummy blush from NARS. This is the Dolce Vita, keeping. Limited edition M.A.C mineralized blush in the shade Lured to Love, a really nice light nudie formulation, keeping. From Prestige Cosmetics, this is a blush in the shade Earth. I think I've had this one for quite a while. I'll be getting rid of that one. Now the Hourglass Ambient Lighting blush, this time in the shade Mood Exposure, a favorite of many from the line. A really sort of plum toned nude neutral blush, keeping. Laura Mercier Second Skin Cheek color in the shade Tender Mauve, an everyday mauvey plummy nude, keeping. From Sunday Riley, this is a blush in the shade Blushing, keeping. Light glow blush from Burberry in the shade Rose Blush, a more vivid vibrant pink, keeping. All I can see on the back of this one is Priceline brand. It's a blush in the shade Rose. I got quite a bit of use out of that. I'll be moving this one on though. From Smashbox, this is a Blush Rush in the shade Peony, an everyday lovely pink, keeping. From Physicians Formula, this is a powder palette multicolored blush in the shade Blushing Nude. Might be a little bit too light for me though. I will be moving this one on. From Christian Dior, this is the Rosy Glow blush, a sort of cult favorite, one of those adaptable type colors. Looks very vibrant pink in the compact. I think it's meant to adapt to your own, you know, skin chemistry. I'll be keeping Rosy Glow. This was the first incarnation of Sigma Cosmetics. This is a blush in the shade Some Girls. These were very, very pigmented blushes. This has a little bit of glitter in it, but I've got it in my matte drawer. It's a light sort of peach. I'll be moving this one on. From Australis Paparazzi Perfect High Definition blush in the shade Screen. It ends up just being a lovely sort of rosy shade of blush. I'm not sure if they still sell these, but I'm gonna move this one on. It's a lovely shade. From NYC, this is a Colour Wheel Mosaic Face Powder, and this one is in the shade Plum Passion. This was sent to me from a friend, and you can see what Plum Passion looks like there. Just a lovely everyday plummy shade. I'll be moving this one on. From M.A.C, we have the Almighty Well Dressed powder blush. It's definitely buildable on the cheeks. A really nice sort of dull pink. I'll be keeping that. From Wet n Wild, we have a Colour Icon blush in the shade Mellow Wine. I'll be moving that one on. Two more In Stain blushes from the Balm. First up, we have Houndstooth. Houndstooth looks like that, a really vibrant plummy shade of blush. I'll keep that. And also Argyle. Argyle is a brighter shade of pink, and this is what it looks like. I'll be keeping that when I just want that pop of color. From By Terry, another Terribly Donceless blush. This one is in the shade Platonic Blonde, a more peachy shade, really pretty, keeping. This one's from Sports Girl, Get Cheeky Cheek and Eye Shimmer in the shade Peach. A combination of shades there. I'll be moving that one on. Another, the Balm In Stain. This one is in the shade Toile. This is more of a corally type shade. I'll be keeping that. Another Clinique Cheek Pop. This one is in the shade Ginger Pop, a really peachy toned blush. I'll be keeping that. Another ambient lighting blush. This one is Dim Infusion, quite a pale peachy blush. I'll be keeping that. An all-time favorite of mine, this is the Chanel Jouet Contrast in the shade Malice, a beautiful peachy shade, very universal. I'll be keeping. From the Balm, this is the Frat Boy blush. Frat Boy is a lovely everyday peachy shade, keeping. NARS powder blush in the shade Gina, keeping. NARS powder blush in the shade Final Cut, keeping. This was limited edition Sephora from a few years ago now. This is the Sephora and Pantone Universe Color of the Year blush duo. We've got the shade Desert Flower and Coral. A beautiful combination of shades, but it is time to move this one on. An Illamasqua powder blush in the shade Lover, keeping. From Napoleon, we have a Mosaic powder in the shade Flushing. This looks quite pink in the pan, but it actually swatches quite peachy. I'll be keeping that. Another Burberry Light Glow blush. This one is in the shade Russet Blush, a really nice neutral keeping. Something from Estee Lauder. This is a signature silky powder blush in the shade Peach Nuance. I've played with this one a bit. I'm not sure if I've found the very best in it or if it's as good as I was hoping. I'm not sure if I was able to get the effect that I was after on my face. I will keep this one out of reference, but it sort of goes on more pink on my face than peach, but I'll be keeping that one. From Tom Ford here up the back, this is one of my favorites in the shade Ravish. This is a beautiful rosy shade, keeping for sure. Right up the front here, hiding the Almighty Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush Wardrobe palette. I'll definitely be keeping. This is a NYX blush in the shade Peach. This is a really pretty light pink shade. I'll be keeping that one. From Laura Mercier, one of my favorite blush formulations. This is the Second Skin Cheek color, this time in the shade Wild Bouquet. A very neutral peachy shade. I will be keeping that, but I'll be moving it to my neutral drawer. NYX powder blush in the shade Angel, a really light toned pink. I'll be keeping that. From Urban Decay, the Afterglow 8-Hour Powder Blush in the shade Indecent. Very soft to the touch, really nice peachy shade, keeping. The NYX powder blush in the shade Natural. Another light pink blush, I'll be keeping that one. From Illamasqua, we have a powder blush in the shade Nymph, a really nice, vibrant pink, beautiful keeping. From Chantecaille, this is a cheek shade in the color Bliss. I'll be keeping that. Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in the shade Ethereal Glow. Of course, that belongs with my ethereal pinks. Very, very light shade there for me. I'll be keeping that one though. Another Illamasqua powder blush. This one is in the shade Kate. This is quite a cool toned light pink. Very pretty keeping. This is a Chanel Jardin de Chanel blush Camellia Rose. Camellia Rose was a lovely limited edition blush. A lovely neutral plum toned blush. From NARS, we have a powder blush in the shade Sex Fantasy. A lovely cool toned lilac shade of blush, keeping. From The Balm, In-Stain blush in the shade Swiss Dot. This was another of my favorites from the range. Very vibrant peachy shade, keeping. Burberry Light Glow blush in the shade Misty, another ethereal pink, keeping. One from Sleek, this is a blush in the shade Life's a Peach, a really pretty vivid orange, but I will be moving that one on. An old one from L'Oreal True Match, this is a blush in the shade C12 Baby Blossom, and I will be moving that one on. A duo from Sephora, we've got a bronzer and a cool toned pink in that duo. This is called Blush Me Twice. I'll be moving that one on. From Kevyn Aucoin, the Pure Powder Glow. This is in the shade Dolene, described as an apricot blush. I'll be definitely keeping. Up the back here, we have what I have described as vibrant blushes. We have something from Galan. This is a blush duo in the shade Red Hot, keeping. From NYX, this is a powder blush in the shade Silky Rose. I haven't touched that one, I'm gonna move it on. Another blush duo from Guerlain. This is in the shade Pink Punk, keeping. The Balm In Stain blush in the shade Lace, whoa, keeping. From Chanel, Jouer Contrast in the shade Vivacité, a really vibrant purple, keeping. It's a really unique shade. The next few are all from NARS. First up we have Amour, an everyday rosy shade, keeping. Desire, a vivid vibrant pink, keeping. Torrid, a lovely peachy shade, keeping. One of my favorites, Not to be Feared, a light touch, and this is absolutely stunning. This is Exhibit A, keeping. Next few blushes here are from Sleek. I'm not sure if they still make these or not. We have Flamingo, time to move that on. Pixie Pink, moving on. Pomegranate, moving on. And this is from the Mediterranean collection, Santorini blush. Whoa, just the most vibrant pink blush you've ever seen in your life. Moving this one along too. We have some more vibrant shades from NYX. This is a blush in the shade Cinnamon. Time to say goodbye to that. We also have one in the shade Pinky, a nice bright pink, moving Pinky along. And we also have one in the shade Red. I don't know if I've ever used red, but I will be moving that one along too. I've got a couple here from Kevyn Aucoin. We've got a Pure Powder Glow in the shade Chador, keeping, and Neolita, keeping. And the last few that I have here in my vivid and vibrant collection, we've got a mineral blush from LA Colors in the shade Just Peachy. I'll be moving that one along. something from the original Sigma series of cosmetics, a really bright pink in the shade Not Fade Away. Moving that one along. A limited edition Steeler Make Me Blush cheek color, really pretty with all of those hearts. I don't have many of that shade, I'll be keeping that. And finally, something from e.l.f. This is in the shade Pink Passion. It's a nice bright pink blush. I'll be moving that one along too. So that is my matte powder blushes. I will be back in a moment with the final arrangement and the final count. This is the final arrangement here. I've put my peachy blushes here in the middle. We've got some pinks and brighter pinks, more ethereal pinks down the front, and plums along the side here, with some more vibrant blushes right at the back that I don't reach for every day. I'm keeping 79 of the blushes that were in this drawer when we started, and I am getting rid of, in my little box here, 29 blushes. Thank you so much for watching. Plenty more to come from me. I will be letting you know more about the blog sale in time once I am towards the end of my Makeup Graveyard series, and I'll be doing it all in one big go. I just don't have time to split it all up over time, so wait for that. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a gorgeous day, and please don't forget, you are beautiful. It is one thing to look at though. Make sure you be it, and I will see you again really, really soon. Bye.